Indian Council of Philosophical Research. I welcome both of you, and I personally acknowledge my gratitude to both of you for being here. And I'm sure your deliberations will immensely benefit our students, our teachers, our researchers, everyone else who are interested in this. And I find that the number of participants is jumping up every moment. I can see it here. Just a few moments back, I found that it was only 128. Now it is coming up to 149. So that's how I can see that the students are eagerly waiting. The participants, I would say, in general, are eagerly waiting for the lectures. So I'll not prolong this lecture. And let me also apologize to you beforehand by saying that I'll not be able to remain present throughout this program because I have another such program to attend, such webinars, and therefore I'll be joining that in a few moments. So thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you all participants, all students, teachers, researchers, the department, and our very eminent speakers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your kind presence, sir. Now I would like to call, I think our register sir is there. I mean, we are not able to. Is he here?
Register sir is not here. No. Register sir is not here.
Okay. Then we would like to start our technical session now. Now let me begin with the first talk of our today's session. As already we have mentioned that the first talk will be by Professor Nirmala Narayan Chakraborty. The title of his talk is Yoga and Modern World. I request Professor Chakraborty to deliver his talk. Over to you, sir. Thanks.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are perfectly audible, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Respected Vice Chancellor, Professor Bandyopadhyay, distinguished guests, participants, it's indeed a matter of great pleasure for me to be able to be associated with this academic program organized by the Department of Philosophy, Bankura University. I express my gratitude to all of them for kindly inviting me to this webinar. In recent years, discourses on yoga philosophy has been quite popular thanks to the efforts of many people associated with it, and especially in this unprecedented crisis that the entire world is going through. We are realizing more and more the importance of yoga, not only as philosophy, but also in practice. Now, today I shall share my little understanding, very small understanding of what yoga as philosophy stands for. Because sometimes I think that when ideas get very popular, there is a tendency to dilute the original meaning of the term and the associated ideas. So I think we should be cautious about that. Now, the term yoga, I mean, in Sanskrit language, usually means union. Okay, so it's kind of addition. So sometimes the term yoga is used to refer to the union of the individual self, Jivatma, and the supreme self, the Paramatma. Okay. And later on, in many philosophical religious texts, we find the term yoga being used in a wider sense. For example, in Bhagavad Gita, the term yoga occurs. For example, in the shloka, yoga karma kaushalam. In this context, yoga, the term yoga, refers to a kind of skill, a kind of way of performing actions. And in this context, Gita was talking about nishkama karma. Again, notice that the chapters of Bhagavad Gita are also known as yogas, Vishada Yoga, Moksha Yoga, etc., where yoga roughly means knowledge or analysis or discourse. You see, the term yoga has been used in classical Sanskrit literature with different connotations. Although one might propose that all these different connotations of the different uses of the word yoga has some connections. They are not completely unrelated with each other, but nonetheless, I think one should take note of the different connotations of the word yoga in different contexts, as we find in classical Sanskrit literature. There is another aspect which perhaps is quite well known to all the students of Indian philosophy. Sankhya and yoga are considered sister philosophical schools, Samana Tantra. Once again, in Bhagavad Gita itself, we find that yat sankhya prapyate sthanam tad yogairapi gamyate. So, Sankhya and yoga are very closely associated with each other in the sense that Sankhya provides the metaphysical foundation of the yogic practices. So in this sense, Sankhya could be treated as a theoretical aspect and yoga as focusing more on the practical aspect of the Sankhya theory. Now, as usual, the history of the Indian philosophical systems, they are rather not precise. Hiranyagarbha is sometimes said to be the original author of yoga. According to some, this Hiranyagarbha is none other than Kapila. But these are all conjectures mentioned in different classical texts. And like all other classical Indian philosophical systems, the yoga system also could be said to be derived from the Vedic corpus. And in this context, many yoga thinkers regard the Ashvetara Upanishad as the fountainhead, as the original source of the ideas of yoga philosophy. I shall very briefly touch upon the main themes of Patanjali's Yoga Sutra and a commentary of Yoga Sutra known as Vyasa Bhashya. Now, this Yoga Sutra of Patanjali consists of 4 chapters. They are called padas. The first chapter is called Samadhi Pada. The second chapter is called Sadhana Pada. The third chapter is called Vibhuti Pada. And the fourth chapter is called Kaivalya Pada. So these 4 chapters, these 4 padas, constitute Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. It is important to take note of the main contents of these different 4 chapters or padas in order to realize, in order to fully comprehend the message of yoga as philosophy. Samadhi Pada, the first chapter in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, Samadhi Pada, starts with a definition of yoga and contains discussions on yoga metaphysics and also epistemology. The second part, known as Sadhana Pada, consists of an explanation of what is called Kriya Yoga and goes on explaining the details about yama, niyama, etc. The detailed analysis and presentation of all these yogic practices. The third pada, the third chapter, Vibhuti Pada, contains discussion on the several abilities that a yogi possesses after going through the prescribed process. The process as described in the second pada, namely Sadhana Pada. So Vibhuti Pada contains description of the different abilities that the yogi comes to acquire because of his rigorous practice of the different prescriptions that have been mentioned, that have been analyzed and presented in Sadhana Pada. So because of this practice mentioned in Sadhana Pada, the yogi acquires certain abilities, certain special powers which he can exercise if he wants. And the fourth chapter, the last chapter of Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, is called Kaivalya Pada. Kaivalya Pada describes the several stages involved in a yogi's attainment of the ultimate end, which is known as Kaivalya in yogic terminology. Now, if we notice the themes of these 4 padas in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, we could realize, we could comprehend the message, the essence, the tatparya, as it is called in classical Indian philosophical system, of yoga philosophy. But before talking about that tatparya of yoga as a philosophy, let me briefly refer to some other aspects of yogic philosophy. According to yoga, the usual states of chitta bhumi as it is called, there are 5 chitta bhumis. One is, the first chitta bhumi is called kshipta. It means always fluctuating. Because at this stage, the chitta is constantly moving, constantly shifting its focus, it is unable even to think of the super sensible things that the yogi could be said to possess because of his rigorous practice. The first chitta bhumi is called kshipta. The second chitta bhumi is called mudha bhumi. Mudha bhumi means at this stage our chitta is so attached to sensible objects, to the objects that one could easily comprehend through the exercise of sense organs, it is unable to think of reality. It is unable to think of what is the real nature of the world. This state of chitta is called mudha bhumi. Third state of chitta is known as vikshipta. Vikshipta means sometimes fluctuating, sometimes, our chitta is shifting its focus, but again, at times, the chitta also could get itself fixed onto some specific object. So, Vikshipta is a little improvement on the first chitta bhumi called chitta. So Vikshipta is sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes our chitta gets focused, but again, due to several reasons, sometimes our chitta also loses its attention, its focus. The fourth chitta bhumi is known as ekagra. Ekagra means when our chitta is fixed, focused on one thing, and this fixation continues if our ekagra chitta bhumi is permanent enough. But then again, this ekagra chitta bhumi is not the ultimate stage of chitta. The fifth, which is the ultimate stage of chitta, is called niruddha. Niruddha means where the chitta, through constant samadhi, is able to fix its attention, focus its attention to a particular object, and this actually, if this state, this niruddha state of chitta continues, the yogi attains mukti or kaivalya in yoga's terminology. When in the second sutra, when yoga is said to be chitta vritti nirodha, yoga's chitta vritti nirodha means setting chitta fixed onto the desired object. Vritti means the awareness that I do this, I hear this, etc., etc. And notice the presence of I, aham, is present in all these different vrittis of chitta. And this is why all these, are called vritti of chitta, because of the presence of I in all these different modifications, as they are usually called. Now, among the vrittis, among the chitta vrittis, there are some vrittis which are called klishta vritti. Klishta vrittis are those vrittis that give rise to suffering. Like when I identify myself with the body, I am the body. This kind of vritti is called klishta vritti, because this is the origin or source of different kinds of sufferings. Other kinds of vrittis are known as aklishta vrittis. Aklishta vrittis are those that actually give rise to destruction of avidya. So they are, of course, when avidya gets destroyed, when ignorance, passes into oblivion, then the real knowledge arises. So, as an example of aklishta vritti, they have the Bhashyakara of Patanjali Sutra give an example of I am not the body. I am not the body. So this is an example of an aklishta vritti. Passing through several stages involved in nirodha, there's several stages, and detailed description of which could be found in the Vyasa Bhashya of Patanjali. When the buddhi becomes pristine, pure, then the truth gets manifest. But the interesting point that Patanjali is making here is this manifestation of truth, this knowledge of truth, comes not gradually. It doesn't come in one go. So, which is different from the knowledge that we get, say, through perception, through inference, or even through testimony. This direct, complete knowledge is called in yoga prajna, which is described as ritambhara prajna. Why is it called ritambhara? Because the truth in its entirety, truth in its completeness gets manifest in one go, not gradually, to the yogi. The truth in its entirety reveals itself. This is a new kind of epistemology that yoga is offering. Complete truth, entire truth in one go appears, emerges before the yogi. And this knowledge is unique in the sense that this is not to be equated with other pramanas usually accepted in different classical Indian philosophical systems, including the yoga itself. So this prajna is justifiably characterized as ritambhara prajna, complete truth manifests itself in one go. Yoga talks about Kriya Yoga, okay, the second chapter, the second pada of Patanjali's Yoga Sutra talks about Kriya Yoga. How do they define Kriya Yoga? Kriya Yoga is defined in terms of Paha, Swadhyaya, and Ishvara Pranidhana. Notice all the three terms with reference to which the Kriya Yoga is being defined. Tapas, giving up attachment to sensible objects. That is what tapaha means in this context, according to Vyasa Bhashya. Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya stands for studying the Shastras. But the Kriya Yoga doesn't end there. It is not just tapaha and swadhyaya. The third important term is Ishvara Pranidhana, offering the results of your action to God. So all these three, tapaha, swadhyaya, and Ishvara Pranidhana, all these three constitute what is called Kriya Yoga in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. Now, if you put all these seminal points of yoga philosophy together, one could extract few messages, a few important take-homes, so to say, from Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. First, the significance, tatparya. In Indian philosophical system, 6 methods have been prescribed to determine the tatparya of a text, the tatparya of a particular philosophical text. Out of those 6 methods prescribed, let us take just the first method. These methods help you to determine the significance or tatparya, the main thesis of the text. The first method is known as Upakrama Upasanghara Aikya. Upakrama Upasanghara Aikya. Upakrama means introduction, the beginning. Upasanghara means the end. If you can find out the meaning of the beginning of the text, the first or second sutra of the text, and the last sutra of the text, and if you can extract the common shared meaning in these two contexts, upakrama and bhara, that will tell you the significance of the text. That will tell you the tatparya of the text. Now, if we apply this method to Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, what tatparya could we get? This is the first sutra of Patanjali, Atha Yoganushasanam, right? This is the first sutra of Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, Atha Yoganushasanam, Atha Yoga Anushasanam. What is the last sutra of Kaivalyapada with which the entire Yoga Sutra of Patanjali ends? Purusharthanam gunanam pratipsavaha kaivalyam swarup dava iti shaktiriti. This is the last sutra of Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. Purushartha shunyanam gunanam pratipsavaha kaivalyam. So, what is the meaning of the first sutra? Atha Yoganushasanam. Atha, in this context, stands for Mangalacharana. There's a detailed discussion in many texts where the usual Mangalacharana does not occur, but the word Atha occurs, and many interpreters have tried to show that Atha in these contexts actually stand for Mangalacharana. Yoga Anushasanam. Yogasya Anushasanam. Anushasanam means, description, the laws, analysis. What are we going to analyze? We are going to analyze yoga. Yogasya Anushasanam. What does yoga in this particular sutra stands for? The Bhashyakara, the Vyasa Bhashya, tells us that in this particular sutra, yoga stands for samadhi. So, Atha Yoganushasanam, the first sutra of Patanjali, suggests that from samadhi, how could one acquire, the ultimate goal? Okay, all those analysis, all those prescriptions, all those methods are being talked about or discussed in this Yoga Sutra. Now let us get back to the last sutra of Patanjali. The last sutra talks about Kaivalya, the ultimate goal of a yogi. And Kaivalya, here in this sutra, is defined as Pratiprasava. Pratiprasava means end. And what? Purushartha shunyanam gunanam pratiprasava. Now, there are various interpretations that the Bhashyakaras have come up with to explain this Purushartha shunyanam gunanam. But one thing for sure, the last sutra of Patanjali is talking about Kaivalya, which is justifiably enough the ultimate goal of the yogi. So, if now you associate the meaning of the first sutra of Patanjali with the meaning of the last sutra of Patanjali, the central message of yoga is to explain how through samadhi one could attain Kaivalya. How through samadhi one could attain Kaivalya. If this is the message of the central message of yoga, then I think yoga as a philosophical school is quite in tune with the other classical Indian philosophical systems. Many interpreters have tried to argue with all sorts of evidence that the tatparya, the significance of all the classical Indian philosophical systems end in some kind of moksha or mukti or nishreyas, etc., etc. You could have several terminologies in different philosophical systems, but the main idea behind all these philosophical systems is to show you the path to kaivalya in yogic terminology, to the emancipation that any individual aspires. In Nyaya Kusumanjali, it has been argued even the Lokayatas, the so-called Charvakas, which are strongly hedonistic in their ethical attitude, even they could be interpreted as having some idea of this emancipation or mukti. The first point that I would like to share with you is this: that if we talk about the significance of Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, the Tatparya of Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, the significance is this, that Patanjali's Yoga Sutra shows us, argues to us, explains to us how from Samadhi one could attain Kaivalya. But there is another important message that one could try to extract from yogic philosophy, especially from the perspective of contemporary Western philosophy of mind. In terms of contemporary philosophical terminology, the yoga system could be viewed as advocating a continuity in the body and the mind, a continuity between the body and the mind. Why it is important? It is important because in the context of Western philosophy, Descartes, it is widely held that the body, the material in nature, and the mind, the mental in nature, are radically different in nature. They are essentially, inherently different in nature. The body and the mind, the material and the mental. Where does this difference between the two consist? Body, the matter, has extension, its property, and the mind, the mental, has consciousness or intentionality as its property. So, in this sense, the material and the mental, they are completely, inherently, intrinsically different from each other. Now, this Cartesian legacy led a large number of philosophers in the Western tradition to determine the exact nature of the mind-body relation, resulting in a huge body of literature. So the problem that these philosophers try to handle is this: that if Descartes is right, if mind and body, if mind and matter are radically different from each other, then how is it possible that one influences the other? How is it possible that one could have some effects or interaction with the other? For yoga, as far as I can see, as far as I can understand, for yoga, this so-called mind-body problem does not arise at all. Why? Because if ultimate aim is Kaivalya, an experience that is super mundane in a significant sense. This does not relegate the body, the material, to less significant role. This is, I think, a very important message of yoga. Rather, it is the body, the matter, the material in nature is to be made fit for the ultimate realization. It is through several bodily practices and postures the body becomes the substrate where the prajna, the yogic Ritambhara prajna arises. So the body, the matter, in this context, in the context of yoga philosophy, the body, the matter, is not to be shunned, is not to be ignored. Rather, it becomes a vehicle, so to say, of attaining Kaivalya, the ultimate aim of a yogi. The body, following yogic prescriptions, attains purity, which then becomes the deserving candidate of Kaivalya. Looked at this way, the material and the spiritual, material means the bodily, spiritual means attainment of Kaivalya, the material and spiritual are not antithetical in nature. They are not opposed to each other, as Descartes thought. Matter is important, but it is the vehicle, it is the medium through which the spiritual emerges. Matter, when gone through the yogic purification, lends itself to the flourishing of the spiritual. The vehicle, the matter, the body is as important as the destination, namely Kaivalya. Now, after looking at the yoga, the central message of yoga in this way, there are two words of caution that I would like to share with you. It has been mentioned in the yogic works in great detail. And if you go through the Vyasa Bhashya of Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, there's a detailed description of these things. How the prescribed bodily postures and trainings turn the physical body into a better state of its existence, making the body strong enough, capable enough to counter varieties of worldly adversities known as diseases. And this is very important for us, especially in this time of pandemic. This is indeed a great blessing of yoga. And in this unprecedented time of crisis due to pandemic, yoga definitely could be utilized to the fullest possible extent. But, and this is the word of caution, but this is only halfway in the yogic destination. The body matters for sure, but it matters only to realize Kaivalya. The body in itself is not valuable. It is to be valued only insofar as it becomes a medium to realize Kaivalya, the ultimate aim of a yogi. The different unusual abilities and properties that the body of a yogi displays, as has been described in detail in the Vibhuti Pada of Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, are not to be confused with abilities that the body of a gymnast could display. The gymnast starts and ends with the body. The yogi starts with the body and turns it, the body, matter, into a vehicle of Kaivalya. This is why yoga is a philosophy and not manual of gymnastics. And the second word of caution that I would like to share with you, the body, when undergone certain practices and training, attains certain abilities that are not usually found in common people. The vibhutis, the extraordinary abilities that the yogi possesses. This is what we usually call supernatural, alaukik. General people have a tendency to get attracted by these supernatural abilities. And this is not to be blamed, but it is equally suicidal to think of these supernatural abilities as the end all. Kaivalya is the goal, and I think it could easily be interpreted as the tathparya of yoga philosophy. It is better to think of these so-called supernatural abilities as byproducts of one's constant effort to purify the body in a vehicle of kaivalya. If body is not, so are not the supernatural abilities. These abilities are only baggage that one carries while undergoing purification of the body. Yoga as philosophy cannot stop here. Kaivalya is the summum bonum of human life. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Wonderful lecture. I was just listening, and it was very wonderful lecture, sir. Should I take some? Is there any questions? Can we take some questions now?
Sure.
Now this session is open for question. If our participants have any question, if they kindly write it in the chat box, it would be good. Then I can just read it out, or Sarah also can just take a note of it. Or otherwise, you can just ask.
If anyone asks the question, you can say one by one.
Yeah, when one will be asking, others should be mute themselves. Otherwise, it will be a kind of noise.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, already one said, one asked one question. Have any difference between ancient yoga and modern yoga? From Suman Mandal.
Okay. So can I say something now?
Yes, sir. You can. One by one, you can just answer because.
Okay. I don't know what is modern yoga. It's not clear to me. But when I think of yoga as a philosophy, because this is one of the most important Vedic systems of Indian philosophy schools, and if this is since this is also associated with Sankhya, since Sankhya provides the metaphysical foundation, so to say, to yoga, and many scholars think that Sankhya is the oldest of all the systems of Indian philosophy. So when I think of Sankhya yoga as a philosophy, I always look back on the classical texts, the commentaries that have been written, on Yoga Sutras, and as far as my very little knowledge of Patanjali's Yoga Sutra and Vyasa Bhashya are concerned, this philosophical system, along with the other schools of classical Indian philosophy, they have their own epistemology, they have their own metaphysics, which is largely dependent on the Sankhya system. And I think that the specific, the unique contribution of yoga is its explanation, its elaboration of the several methods, okay, that one could follow in order to attain what is called kaivalya. And if kaivalya is the summum bonum of a yogi, then certainly the prescriptions, okay, and the prohibitions, details of which have been explained by the commentators, okay, are something that one should take seriously in order to understand the significance of yoga. This is how I understand yoga as a philosophy. And of course, when we talk about philosophy having direct implications for our everyday existence, and I think Indian philosophical schools are much better placed in that context, because almost all the major schools of classical Indian philosophy, including yoga, do have certain very, very significant implications for our everyday existence. Okay, this is not just some kind of intellectual exercise divorced from our existential predicaments, and yoga is, I think this is very much well pronounced in yoga as philosophy. So this is how I try to make sense of yoga standing in 21st century.
Okay, sir. Next question is from Sivasis Ganguly. I have a question whether you would ask us to.
Sorry, I can't hear.
Oh, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. There is a question from Shivashish Ganguly that I have some doubts in so far. You have explained very beautifully Indian as well as some Western, within bracket Descartes perspective here. I have a question whether you would ask us to differentiate between mental and spiritual.
Okay. Yes. Very, 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 very good question. Usually, in the context of Western philosophy of mind, philosophers do not make this distinction between mental and spiritual. I mean, for them, they are least interested in what is called spiritual. They are rather more interested in how bodily activities, the bodily features, interact with the activities of the mind, activities of our mental episodes, right? So yes, but see, when I talk about spiritual, I talk about the yogic idea of kaivalya. And what I mean is that even if to attain something which is spiritual in nature, spiritual in the sense which is not to be grasped the way a sensible object is grasped. This is if kaivalya is spiritual in this sense, then even the body, the so-called matter, which is apparently thought by the Cartesian philosophers to be antithetical to mental, okay, even this matter could be viewed as something which is as important as the spiritual is. So the material and spiritual did not be opposed to each other. Rather, the material could be looked at from a certain perspective. It could be it could be through several yogic practices. It could be made fit enough through which, not ignoring which, through which the Kaivalya, which is quintessentially spiritual in nature, could be realized. So this is how I look at from the mind to the spirit journey in the Patanjali's yoga.
Okay, so there is another question. It's not exactly question, but some kind of clarification, I think. 6 methods. I mean, it is from Ricky Chakraborty. He's asking some question that the 6 methods of understanding the Tatparya. Can you please repeat, sir?
Oh, a list of all the 6. I can tell you later. I have books, but the first one that we have talked about is Upakrama, Upasamhara, Aikya. This is the first one. Sorry, I don't, but I can if you contact me later, I can tell you all the names of the 6 methods that are followed in order to grasp or comprehend the tattva of a philosophical text.
There is a question from Hari Narayana, that is Samadhi of Patanjali contrary to choiceless awareness, as it focuses to concentrate upon something?
Right. This is a different question. I think a person who has undergone these processes is the best person to respond. Even the word samadhi has different stages, different kinds, all of which have been explained in detail in the Vyasa Bhashya of Yoga Sutra. I mean, generally speaking, I don't think it is simply choiceless.
Choiceless awareness is telling.
Okay. Choice. It's not choiceless awareness. Rather, it's a kind of intense focusing on something through which you grow the ability to get rid of this so-called klishta vrittis, so that your body gets purified, and then you gradually rise to that stage towards kaivalya. So I doubt whether choiceless awareness can be identified with what samadhi stands for, at least in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra.
So there is another question.
Yes.
That is, so is it true modern yoga as a formal yoga? This much.
Modern yoga as formal yoga. Now, I simply don't understand the meaning of the term modern yoga. Now, I'm sure that there are several scholars who have commented on the Yoga Sutras or the Bhashyas, etc. Because in Indian philosophical lineage, we have this long commentatorial tradition, right? One person's writes commentary, and then another person comes, he writes a sub-commentary, and then another person comes. This is how the commentarial tradition, moves on from time to time. So I am not aware of the modern, commentators on the ancient yoga sutras or yoga bhashyas. But even if there is a modern commentary, I think that commentary also is expected to be explaining new aspects of the ancient texts. Okay, the commentary is expected to come up with new perspectives or with new kind of unraveling, new significance of these old commentaries and texts. That is what has happened in many other classical Indian philosophical systems like Siddhaya or Mimamsa, etc., etc. So I'm not aware of those modern, so-called modern commentators. But even these modern commentators, with due respect to them, I can say that they are expected to throw light on the original sutras and bhashyas, etc. So, but I'm not aware of any of the modern commentators of sutras and bhashyas.
Sorry. Can you? I'm audible now.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah. There's, another question that is, please give some clarification about mind-body relation in yogic approach.
This is something that I think one should take up as a research project. Okay. The reason why I talked about this is one place where yoga or yogic insights could very well be placed alongside the contemporary analytic philosophical discussion in philosophy of mind. Okay, I think, insofar as my little knowledge goes, the entire Western philosophy of mind is still trying to find out a response to the Cartesian paradigm. And for me, yoga insights provide us with a different paradigm. With a paradigm, a Cartesian dichotomy does not work anymore. So we have a different paradigm where the mind-body dichotomy is not important anymore. The entire perspective of yoga philosophy towards the mental and the material. If you don't want to use the word mental, then you can use the word physical. Okay, the entire perspective is different, and this is, I think, where somebody could do some more research that how it is different, why it is different, and if it is different, then how could this yoga philosophy of mind could offer some solutions to some of the problems that contemporary analytic philosophers of mind have been, trying to. This is, I think, something some of my young research friends should take up this project.
Yeah, so there is another question from Nilanjana Chaudhuri. She's asking that how yoga affects to our mind in our modern life, and what should be the it's not coming, it's scrolling down, there is a problem, something. So question, how, okay. Oh, okay. Then what should be the definition of Kaivalya in our modern life?
Yeah, well, these are all heavily, loaded questions. Okay, definitely, the practices that have been explained elaborately in the bhashyas of Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, definitely they help any individual, okay, to acquire certain abilities, certain bodily abilities, okay, so that the body can respond to many of the adversaries that we encounter in our everyday existence. This is perhaps one of the greatest contributions of yoga, definitely. But what I would like to add, this is not the end. Yoga does not end with this, okay? Yoga moves beyond, and justifiably so. Moves beyond in the sense that this body, when undergone certain prescriptions and prohibitions and practices and postures, etc., this body itself, becomes an adhara, a yogya adhara, a fit adhara for something more. And this something more, whatever the nature of this something more, is expected to elevate human existence to a different level. And using contemporary terminologies, okay. So if individual humans, through practicing these courses, can turn the body itself as a vehicle of something which is, in some sense suprasensible, then it is held by majority of the Indian philosophers that will turn this mundane human existence into a better one in some significant sense. And this kind of emancipatory goal, this kind of emancipatory project, I must say, is not unique only Indian philosophy. There are many other thoughts which also try to envision, try to justify some kind of existence, some kind of hope that they give us, which is in some significant sense better than the states that we are in now. So this kind of impetus, this kind of utsaha, so to say, in us to transform ourselves into something better, into something that is not ordinarily available within our limits, is I think a great message of hope, and yoga is certainly no exception to this.
Thank you. There is another question. I think you have already answered in this question also, but still I will just tell that question. It's a question from Shoma Chakraborty. She is asking that can we say that fitness is essential for attainment of samadhi?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Yeah. Can we say that fitness is essential for attainment of samadhi?
Fitness.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. And I think this is where yoga stands unique, because that there is a human body to me, that there are bodily activities in me, I can't deny. I had to start from somewhere in my philosophical journey, and that starting place is given to me as my physical body, as my physical surrounding. But the message of yoga is that you don't stop there. You constantly try to transform this bodily environment, so to say, into something which is beyond, which is better in very many different ways. So we start from the bodily behavior, okay, and this is what I call base physicalism. Okay, that I have a body, that my body functions in particular ways, that my body reacts in some particular ways. These are something given to me. I can't deny these things. Okay, I can't deny my hunger. Okay, so I have to start my philosophical / spiritual journey from this bodily given. But then I can't stop here. I have to go beyond. And yoga not only has given us some philosophical justifications, but also it has given us the entire manual, so to say, how I can move from these limitations of bodily existence to something beyond.
Thank you, sir. There are so many other questions, but since we have another speaker today,
yes.
So yeah, sir. I mean, there are in the chat box. I mean, there are good questions also. I think we can just send it to sir. In that case, then if sir is answering to, we can just, I mean, in the WhatsApp group and all, maybe we can just circulate it. So thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I would be more than happy to share my my thoughts with you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It's a very nice presentation. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now I would like to ask Dr. Sushim Dubey, I mean, for his talk, sir. He is there with us. Welcome you, sir. The title of his talk is Yoga Philosophy and the Practice of Health and Well-being. I request Dr. Dubey to deliver his talk. Over to you, sir. Dubey, sir. Hello.
My namaskar to all, and in this our program, importance of yoga for health, happiness and harmony in present day world, ICPR sponsored 2 days national level webinar. I also pay my very humble tribute to and my pranam to our Professor Nirmalya Narayan Chakravarti, sir, the former member secretary of Indian Council of Philosophical Research in New Delhi, as well as the very learned and erudite scholars for nice expositions directly from the original Yoga Sutra and its related aspects from commentaries. Of course, with this program, which is started since yesterday, I also acknowledge Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Dev Narayan Bandyopadhyay of Bankura University and Registrar Dr. Subir Kumar Rai ji, also of the same university. Earlier to me, I also acknowledge in this program on the behalf of ICPR our Honorable Member of Council and Research Project Committee, Professor G.P. Das, who had delivered his address yesterday, and of course the convener, Dr. Gautam Das, and Dr. Daya Maji, who has been continuously making their sustained and fruitful efforts to bring out this program in many ways and many platforms, and also the organizing secretary Sangeeta Basu, who is hosting conducting this program, and technical supporter Mr. Sudeep Roy, technical assistant from Bankura University and from Indian Council of Philosophical Research, Piyush Parmuji, who is live streaming this in ICPR YouTube channel. So it was very nice. Now I come to the topic of the program. It was very nice that we have listened to Professor Chakravarti ji on yoga and modern world, and my topic is yoga philosophy and practice for health and well-being. So I begin with today is the very auspicious occasion, that is the Guru Purnima, and Yoga Sutra itself mentions about that the chapter 1, verse number 26, Sa Purvesham api Guru Kalen Anavachedat. Here the Ishwar, the God, a special kind of Purusha consciousness is referred, which is beyond three kinds of results of karma and its fruit or maturation, who was Guru to other all yogis and continuously onto the flowing of or coming of the time from unlimited unknown past to ever future. So this is what is the Guru Purnima occasion. We pay tribute to the Yoga Sutra, to this continuous perennial tradition of Guru, and my humble namaskar to all yogi and Guru. With this invocation, I begin with the very title, health here. The title health, as purely earlier to me by the speaker, has been explained from the original sources and Sanskrit text. Before I go, I like to present something to you from Yoga Sutra itself, because it has been vividly talked. Let me show you Yoga Sutra, and one after another I will show you. This is, I think, is it visible? This is screen of concise.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible.
Of yoga. This is what I developed in 2009, and it gives everything. And I again would like to show you about the Yoga Sutra. Here you can see the whole entire Patanjali Yoga Sutra, Samadhi Pad, Sadhana Pad, Vibhuti Pad, and Kaivalya Pad. Here entire Yoga Sutra, which is available with chanting of all entire Sutra tradition of Yoga Sutra. I think you can see it. Entire, which also I did in my chanting long back, sometimes in 2008. So just to mention about the work on Yoga Sutra. And another thing which I like to show you of the word yoga, which is not limited of the word, that you can see how the word is used in our Sanskrit tradition. Various usage. So such kind of around 350 are there. Enriched tradition of yoga and various usage of the word yoga in our tradition, not only limited to Yoga Sutra, but from Ayurveda and other related aspects, wherever the meaning of word yoga is applicable. Now, several questions came about the modern yoga, which perhaps I may like to add something in later after discussion on the topic which I had chosen here about the yoga. And I begin with the very title of this webinar, that is the health, happiness and harmony in present day world, and my topic that yoga philosophy and practices. The word health, very much its definition from World Health Organization, accepted in all walks of health sciences across the globe. It is a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Here the yoga is important because well-being is the first thing, which is, and physical and mental well-being, which is attained first by the means of yogang. And there was a question, of course, Sarir Madhyamam Khalu Dharma Sadhanam, because the healthy mind, healthy body is required to not only for the normal living, day-to-day life, but also to attain the samadhi, which is, or which has been told in the Gita that thousands of thousands come across one, and about thousands and thousands, one gets success, and about thousand and thousand, one get established in the ultimate state. So this is what is the Samambunam, or highest points of attainment of yoga. Anyway, below to that, it is not limited to one, but it is available and open and feasible to all, because one starts from the body and bodily healthy experiences, which is available in the issues of, or in the practices of yoga. And I would also like to show you later on the health benefits which have been described in our yogic text, not only with Yoga Sutra, because Yoga Sutra does mention only about the Sthir Sukhamasana, but 11 asanas have been mentioned in the Vyasa Bhasya, 32 asanas in the Hiranya Samhita, and their number increases in other yogic texts. Hatha Yoga Pradipika vividly describes about the health and gain of various disorders which can be corrected through the practice of yoga. So I would like to show in the later something. Now, with regarding to yoga and this webinar and this current pandemic situation, yoga we see as a Ayush practice, or sometimes it is said as an alternative therapy also. And it is used with the combination with other therapies which are going on. And of course, it is the cheapest and all available with all our wide population, not only limited to India, but the world also. I also like to focus some of the health promotion or promotive aspects or disease prevention aspects of the yoga, particularly yogasana, because there has been research on yogasana, and after establishing them, they have been advised for practicing in school education system, not only here but in USA and other places in the world. So starting with the yogasana and health aspects, it improves our respiratory endurance, because as you feel, once you come across one posture, a breathing pattern changes, but being in that posture, one has to attain Sthir Sukham, that normalize its breathing, his or her breathing pattern. Therefore, that stage is Sthir Sukham, and in that stage, energy channel across the body, that is the peripheral nervous system, get activated and circulation increased. Muscle strength also subsequently increase, and overall physical fitness, we can say by regular or specific under the supervision of yoga trained master or teacher, it can be attained. Now, one after another, the yogang has been properly explained from the Yoga Sutra. I a little bit more focus on the health aspects here, so as to bring out the in complementary way from Yoga Sutra Yogang to the health aspects. Now coming to the pranayama, it control of our vital force, that is the prana, that is oxygen, control of our mental waves also, purification of our vital energy, thoughts, emotions. If we nicely Chitta Bhumi have been explained earlier to me. Of course, when we have control over our conscious element, or we ourselves conscious and we see what is happening, that is called the awareness, the mindfulness, then we can root out also subconscious traumas. Of course, it is not in a one way, it can be perhaps attainable, but through regular practice or in a which state of consciousness we are and what is troubling us, in that way it may perhaps be more appropriate to say. Stillness of breath is attained, stillness of mind thereby it is attained. Hatyo Pritipika very straightforwardly says that chale vatam chale chittam, as means that as long as the vayu, the prana, or the breathing goes on, our chitta becomes also not still or stable. So once the pranayama or kumbhaka stage is retained, it automatically stabilizes the minds, and thereby all kinds of movable states of mind which are troubling can be controlled. I invite for practice of this kind of with this kind of awareness to our pranayama practice. It also has the less activity at the brain level, less of hyperactivity also, because pranayama practices just calm down kind of tension states or overwhelming accelerated states of mind, and orderly it makes our thought process also, if we can do or with mastery or our own self through the pranayama practice, and conflicts of personality may also be avoided. So in terms of physiology, the more consumption of oxygen, less carbon dioxide in the brain, that happens with the practice of pranayama. Side by side, in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, it has been told the definition of pranayama, tasmin sati sa swasa prashwashayo gati vicheda pranayama. This has been described there. So, going with this activity, what has been the observation, physiological observation, that I just try to mention, not only with my some personal experiences, but also from the established or ongoing research on the area. Now coming to the pratyahara, it is the withdrawal of our senses, preservation of our vital energy, and also transcending the lower consciousness to the higher consciousness. So now dharana, the next our in Ashtanga Yoga, it is our one-pointed concentration, our intellectual efficiency, and it lifts one's own self and focuses on a point of dharana where our dhriti or our dharan shamata, the word dhri is important. I keep on telling what we are doing what we are dharana through our practice of dharana. Little bit about the dhyan also. It is a transcendental state of pure awareness state. We can say the higher states of consciousness, and we are all say in the philosophical realm that is to that is to come over the ego. So it is a state of less ego, aham. So that is the state of dhyana, and samadhi, of course, a continuation of dhyana state results into the samadhi. This has been described in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, and in association to it, in Hatyo Pradipika, the Nada Sadhana, where the person attains the samadhi through that way also, Prana Sangrodha Sadhana, Pran Vidya, in Upanishadic tradition, they have also been in since the time immemorial or thousands of years back for attaining the harmony or harmonizing existence, the reality or experience, ultimate experience, the one can attain. So those are the philosophical aspects which I have tried to relate with the our health aspects in modern world or modern scenario. In fact, if I am to say something again, then yoga is to control our mental dispositions or modifications, chitta bhumya, chitta vritti pancha. It cultures the emotions through them, and you provide the strength to regulate the bodily activities, control over the mind. How a person through the practice of Nauli circulate the abdominal muscles from left to right and right to left. These practices all other also enlarge in Adas Chakri, Urdu Chakri, in Shatkarma Sangraya, Shatkarma Samhita, and other yogic texts. I will show you a list of a very rich tradition of yoga and yogic texts, around more than 300 yogic texts I will show you at the last, so that we come across that this tradition needs also to be explored, because in our philosophy we more focus on the philosophical ideas, whereas it is important to have practical delving and then establishing what we discuss or what we believe or what we achieve through our philosophical discussion and understanding. So health preventions factor in our modern day-to-day life, where the yoga is useful in preventions of risk factors, that is, we can adopt the yogic lifestyles. And Sauch, Santosh, Tap, Swadhyaya, Ishwar, Pranidhan, they are the niyam that can infectious other, we can maintain our hygiene, which is very much required in current scenario. Psychosomatic elements, if we keep the yogic attitudes, they can be dealt upon. Yoga Sutra says Pratipaksha Bhavanam, Samatvam, Vairagya. These are the not only terms, but they involve a wider, a very wider, a very enlarged, a deeper experiences of day-to-day life, not only limited to a general, but it's a specific experiences where we can modify our own genetic trend in which we are automatically behaving or going, but also to refine our attitude and aptitude and our experiences for further growing up or evolving in our positive life experiences. Of course, again coming back to the health aspects, the degenerative disorders may also be corrected with the deeper exercises or practice of the pranayama. We have a saying, a stitch in time saves 9. So this preventive method or preventive aspects of yoga is well said in this way. We gain the willpower also. We don't have to means this practice is available without expenditure, but involves the personal, our own input and practices. Now coming back to the promotive health, how yoga promotes our health factors. Yoga has several promotive health factors, and from very beginning of yoga can or yogasana or pranayama and other practices can correct immediately the lifestyle disorders, and in long terms it sustains a body and its functioning in a state where positive health can be restored, or we can be on with positive health practices. So this is the promotive aspects. It efficient functioning of the body can be maintained. Homeostasis attained and maintained with the proper functioning of the body. Improved functioning of psycho, immuno and neuroendocrine system, that is our glandular system. Practices of several yogasana, paschimottanasana and other asanas, and practice of bandha has also been beneficial in this way. In a rehabilitation, as in the state of our current pandemic, we we can also find where person is a isolation state or a home quarantine where the person find himself as a disoriented. So in terms of rehabilitation, practice of yoga generates a kind of self tranquility, physical gain also, and this is also a positive attitude if the person has from earlier practice also. So it will boost his coming back from his state of this isolation or for this home quarantine to normalize his health aspects where the yoga practices may be beneficial. It tends to make you more self-control, more willpower, which is related or which is associated with immunity and a willpower to coming over the situation where it is required for not only toning up health attitudes, but also gaining or coming over a kind of traumatic states in isolation or in home quarantine related with this pandemic. In general, for all of us, we are in a technocratic society, and ever growing our involvement requires our coping skills. So this coping skill in its back support demands physical strength, mental stability, mental strength, and willpower, which I have already taken. So stress and causes of the stress can be coped up with the practice of the yoga. And of course, yoga may not be able to always cure what we are not claiming it, but it can surely help us to endure the thing. And in that way, our coping ability is also related, or it can also be positively experienced and enhanced with the practice of yoga. Let us come to the present scenario regarding the expenditure that modern medicine is often criticized for the cost involved and its method of treatment. We see that in Hatha Deepika also, Mahatma Ramji has the author or the Sutrakar of Hatha Deepika, he has told Ashesh Taptanam Samasrayo Hata. People who are not getting their proper treatment or proper their final seeking, such kind of dissatisfied people who get that their last resort for success, for attainment, for well-being, that Hatha is promising or can cater to. So in that way, after people who cannot bear upon certain kind of medicines, people who cannot practice heart burden exercises or physical exercises or physical physiotherapy practices, for them yoga is also very promising, because the kind of yogic practices, asana and pranayama, they not only available or well practiced by such kind of people, but other also who are physically challenged also, they can also practice yogang or kind of pranayama practice, at least meditation practices. So in that way also yoga is not only specialized, but is available and useful for various kinds of people with various ability to disability and challenges. Of course, yoga only requires that a patient's mean a person's own effort and doesn't need any kind of more do this or that, which may be for a kind of patients which in a state of irritability with the burden of disorder or disease to bearing upon abnormal or not normal surroundings or situations, being in hospital or isolation or quarantine. The person requires his own efforts, his own willness, his own coming out. And this juncture is very, very, very important and significant. And I like to attract the attention of our all people who are connected, because see, if a person comes at one step by his own, there the confidence build up, there the willpower build up, and by there the person gains again the life energy, life potential, and by then he gets and he come across and he becomes more immune. He can fight more by disease or by other factors which are impacting negatively on his body and health. So growing by person's own through the practice of yoga, which is very significant and very meaning of yoga, that is making union from one step to further step to the final step of union with perfect health, happiness and harmony, a sammam bonam state of pure consciousness, a samadhi. So that is what the yoga is significant, and meaning of yoga is can be realized in its most describable understanding and significant ways. So it helps reduce the spiraling cost of Medicare also, we can say. The aging which are also in our modern life, more consumptions, more upabhoktavad, that has and more activities and abnormal daily routines and all kinds of pressures, negative hormones and more oxidation in body, that all things generates the aging factor. But with the practice of pranayama, toning up our general health can be a useful tool for maintaining proper aging. Although aging is inevitable, and but yoga, we may say gracefully that it helps to grow or to age gracefully. Of course, healthy diet, regular yogic practices, avoiding negative habits, cultivating positive habits, yam and niyams, all there for our healthy lifestyles, and they can be useful for preventing degenerative disorders. And we also say people are suffering from arthritis, orthopedic problems. Regular practice of asana practice or regular maintaining positive health will be useful for avoiding such kind of health disorders, joint replacement, which are now more in common, yogic asana and practice, re-energizing or channelizing energy levels in our such concerned organs by yogic asana practices, so they will be useful. Coming back to the role in psychiatric disorders, that we more feels but we more understand, or it makes negative impact a deeper, and by then we come to know that this was causing hurt to us. By then there has been a kind of from normal to severe harm to health. So depression, a very large cause of problems, health problems in terms of personal health, to the production also, because it for the national productivity it affects anxiety, drugs and alcohol disorders. Once the person has the willpower, therefore thereby the person able to manage drug abuse also, and various psychophysiological disorders may be corrected with the practices of yogic asana and pranayama. Some of the benefits already described in our Hatha Yoga Pradipika, Gheranda Samhita and Hatha Yogic text, which are more dealing with the practical aspects of health. Of course, anidra, the problem of epilepsy and headache, through the practice of meditation or yoga nidra, it is useful for them. And let us come across in the end, because we are health, happiness, and harmony. Yoga corrects our own lifestyle and it changes it for. Again, let us take very title of this webinar, that is healing aspects to the health aspects, to harmonizing our day-to-day experience, to our relation with our society, to our people, to our normal, in our offices or wherever we are. It makes us learn to make an effort, a positivity in the life, changes the lifestyle modifications. And yoga plays a vital role in this regard. Yogic diet, mitahar, ahar, vihar, achar, vichar, and vyavahar, they have been talked, and a whole building of Ayurveda or life sciences also complements yoga, and yoga is also in the Ayurveda. So asana, pranayama, mudra, kriyas, and relaxation techniques are important aspects of our lifestyle modifications. Coming to having described or having discussed on these various aspects in our day-to-day modern life, this can be ascribed to the our research or our personal experience of the yoga with regarding to the modern yoga, the repetitive question that came previously, and the slogans also which have been reverberated in Western world, that no yoga, no peace, and now yoga, now peace, and you should know what is yoga, then you will know what is peace. They have been the slogans in West. So describing this, I as told that I would like to show the yogic texts which are there in our long historical tradition. Let me show you the list of text also. Perhaps it's not coming because I have opened a PDF file which is not sharing this, option is not coming. Yes. You can see that it is from my book on yoga philosophy and practices, recently published also. You can see the yogic text, their names alphabetically arranged, and first one to second one, Agam Rahasya to Ajapa Gayatri to Akata Chakra. These are the texts that I can show you. They are here. These are the yogic texts. Their list is there. We should, you see from why Yoga Chandrika, you see here from this Yoga Chandrika to Yoga Charan to Yoga Charya to Yoga Chintamani to Yoga Darpan to Yoga Deepika to Yoga Deepika, and so on and so forth. This list is vast, and this is what is the tradition of yoga, so enriched, so vast, so literature and so many texts have been written on our yogic tradition. So this 282 text list which I have shown, and I have in personal collection also around 200 yogic texts. So with this humble list and humble presentation of mine, I again would like to thank the organizer, of course, course, ICPR is also the sponsor to our Honorable Chairman, Professor Ramesh Chandra Sinhaji, and Member Secretary Professor Kumar Ratnanji also for sponsoring such a series of program, and all people who are all our academicians who are in the university, our counterparts, successfully organizing and bringing out a program for all of us, for welfare of all of us. If we can gain something from this, and if I have told significant in my contribution to this purpose, I will be finding myself as very humble for this presentation, and my namaskar at the end, and thank you all. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. It's a very nice presentation. Already you must have been checking out the chat box here, giving comment. They are commenting that's a very nice presentation. There is one question. I think this session is open to questions. Sir, would we take question now? Few questions now?
Surely, surely.
Okay. So there is one question. I have seen this. It's from Mr. Hari Narayan. What is the significance of Sampragyata and Asampragyata Samadhi for men of today?
Well, Sampragyat and Asampragyat Samadhi, the very word, it is very technical, and in Yoga Sutra it is described there in first chapter, when there is it is known something, means with the dhyana, you start with certain object, which is also the point of dharana. It is something is known. Ultimately, your consciousness in the process of samadhi is resting upon, or even one point is even your ego sense, that is I sense is there. That is the state of jnana, or it is pragya or pragyat. That is sampragyat. And asampragyat, when this factor is also what to say, means with the continuous practice of this factor is also dissolved, and this chittavritti final cessation or a continuity of chittavritti before the cessation, asampragyat samadhi, and it requires, we can interpret, or we must read the very first samadhi pada of Yoga Sutra to know deeper, because one sutra is related with the other sutra, and it keeps on explaining Yoga Sutra and its intricacy of our understanding of consciousness, which is there, the matter of the chittavritti, which is the matter of yoga anushasana, and the pratigya of Yoga Sutra by Maharshi Patanjali.
The question. There is another question by Shumon Mondul. That's any secret knowledge about to prevention of hormonal secretion for improvement of yoga.
Please repeat. Is it in chat box?
Yeah, it is in the chat box. It is by Shumon Mondul. Have any secret knowledge about to prevention of hormonal secretion for improvement of yoga?
What I understand that the question relates with how we know the knowledge of the endocrinal secretions, like this.
I think so, yeah, if he is not mentioned.
Anyway, total understanding or total endocrinal system or which secretes hormones, their working is like that. There is no conscious element is involved in the from master pituitary glands to thyroid glands. It balances overall, or it enhances the bodily activities, mechanism, health, blood circulations, and heart palpitations to several vital activities. I am not saying that a person is going to know it consciously, but a regular practice of yoga or the specific practices of asanas or pranayama, it tones the overall body, and with the healthy body or a calm body or a sustained or stable our mental position, what has been the disorder of this endocrinal gland, that can be corrected in continuous practice of yoga. This is what is the hypothesis, or this is what is the gain in the practice of yoga. Of course, this endocrinal glands mostly secretion happens into the nights. This is also an important point. With the state of depression, with the state of anxiety, where the person loses normal sleeping, so this first affects calming down of the body, coming back up to the normal state of body, and thereby it disturbs the endocrinal proper functioning also. So in this way, if normal practice of yoga, I am talking about the general health, because Nidra has also been described as one of the vritti which needs to be coming up to the state of cessation according to the Yoga Sutra. But we are here for the general life, for the general goal, for our day-to-day routine life. A sound sleep is very much required. Ahar, Nidra and Brahmacharya. These three are the pillar of the swasth in Yoga Sutra, advocated or told in the Charak Samhita. So this also needs to be kept in our mind. So in that way, endocrinal system, its proper functioning and usefulness, overall actually it understanding. Anyway, this is the answer. It is a long discussions and several physiological or yogic practices and mental dispositions and mental states are involved in dealing with this thing.
Yeah, so there is another question from Nilanjana Chaudhuri. So my question is, can yoga help to improve our mental health? Because in daily life, we can see that yoga helps to improve body health, but mentally they are now healthy. So how does yoga help to improve mental health? So,
see, there is a NIMHANS, National Institute of Mental Health Sciences. It is in the Bangalore. They have been continuously making their research on, it is a central government institute under the Ministry of Health or Ayush. I have been long associated or in programs of them, psychiatric disorders, mental health aspects, continuously research on this. This institute is established on this particular object. And other research also have been in the United States. And Patanjali Yoga also has done remarkable publishing of the research papers and several research papers on this. So there is undoubtedly, let me tell you one instance only. Suppose immediately if you are in a state of restlessness, there is a restlessness stage. How you can calm up? Because many situations in normal life, or it comes again and again, and they are experienced time to time, where a person in a state of anxiety, stress, a kind of nervousness. But if you, as you have been listening from the childhood, perhaps if you are, then giving a small massage to your vagus nerve, backside of your ear somewhere, if you are able to locate, then it can calm or soothe down your nervousness. Or if you do a little anulom vilom pranayama also, it can immediately, and you can realize the help of, this is a tool. If you can catch yourself that you are regulating your own restlessness by a kind of certain yogic practice, so you will be more willful over control over yourself. And this is one of the examples of mental health, because in a state of restlessness, there will be a secretion of several negative hormones which not only induce further bodily processes, but make disturbance in whole body, and their impact will be, say, from a few minutes to few hours to some days also. And if that tendency continues, then it will disrupt your normal mental health, or a state of more normal mental health, but it will again in long term makes a mental disorders also. So in long way, these disorders will disrupt the whole body or bodily system also. So it will impact the person's digestive disorders immediately. If you don't have the proper sleep in the night, you may have your digestive disorders, and these digestive disorders in long terms will affect entire body and its health. So please be more delve deep in this health aspects, not only limited to yogic text also, but in medical physiological books also, which I would like to invite attention towards.
Yeah, so there is another question from Divas Chakraborty. That, sir, I have a question for clarification. Is there any difference between physical and mental desire, or they are complementary to each other? If there is any difference, then to reach our spiritual stage, which one should we have to control first?
No, I could not get, actually the question is very long. Is there any difference between our physical?
A difference between physical and mental desire, or they are complementary to each other?
Physical and mental desire. Actually, physical desire itself felt through our mind, and body's, what to say, mind is mind only. So physical desires, if you say that the gross physical needs, they have to be fulfilled, and a person needs to be satisfied for a good life. A kind of excellence in activity should also be in good life, according to Frank Kenna in his book of ethics. And also Plato also told about the good life. So there is no conflict, or there is a general since long history of this is what the philosophy wisdom is there. So this desire has to be fulfilled, and mental desire also needs to be fulfilled. What is important here in understanding how and what way desire can be fulfilled, the whole theory of action comes here. Action and fruition, karma ka siddhant, it comes here. And theory of ethics and morality also comes here. And secondly, our own capacity also come here in fulfillment of this desire. And what is, again I would like to bring your attention, what is important, that yoga enhances capacities, not only physical, but conscious faculties, our conscious ability, because this consciousness only makes everything is reflecting that the Sankhya Sutra also says, up to the state of Kaivalya. But in general day to day, what is our own capacity to how to build up the capacity? If this awareness is developed, then if we are righteousness, if we are established on truth, then we are bound to practice those truths which we require in our life. So this juncture, not only the health aspects is attached and associated with yoga, but on this juncture, to grow further or evolve in our life towards the higher living and attainment also attached. So this is again a wider point of life experiences, and it is gradually gained while growing in the life with several kind of stages in life, from brahmacharya to grahas to vanprastha to sannyas. Anyway, this is again the very wider area.
Yeah, so there are so many questions, I think. Should we take more questions? I mean, I think we have to wind up the sessions also now. Hello, Dayamon?
Speak little louder.
Yeah. I'm telling you, there are so many questions, sir, in the chat box. I think we will not be able to take all of them, really. So I was just asking, thank you, sir, it's a wonderful presentation. You must have seen all the comments in the chat box, sir. I will give it, I will ask Doyamoy for, I'm very sorry for not to take all the questions. As I told to the former session also, we will be taking all the questions and we will send it to the sir, send it to sir so that when he can answer all the question and then we can share in our WhatsApp group, which is already there. So I'm now giving it, welcome my colleague Doyamoy Maji for the valedictory session. Doyamoy, please, over to you.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, but little louder would be, I think, better.
Okay, now it is okay. Now is it okay?
Okay, I can start it.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon to all of you. Now we have reached the last stage of this program. It's a great opportunity for me to thank you all in today's national webinar on importance of yoga for health, happiness, and harmony in present-day world. Firstly, on behalf of the Department of Philosophy, Bankura University, I would like to thank ICPR for selecting us and giving a financial support to celebrate World International Yoga Day, so that we have been able to organize this webinar. I want to thank again and deep gratitude to ICPR. I want to thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Devnarayan Bandyopadhyay.
Can I interrupt a while? Can I interrupt a while? Please.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Just pick up your speaker little near to the your mouth, because voice is very less. It is being recorded.
Okay.
Oh, Doyamoy, would you please take your this microphone? Near to your mouth. It will be audible then more. Yes, thank you, sir.
Is it okay, sir?
Yeah, I think now it is more audible. Little closer. You take it little closer and talk. I think then it will be more louder. It is louder.
Now?
Yeah. It's okay, louder.
Okay, thank you, sir. Now I want to thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Devnarayan Bandyopadhyay, for giving us his valuable time and encouraging us for this 2 days national webinar. I also want to thank our respected registrar sir for his kind support. We are really thankful to Professor G.P. Das as well as Professor Nirmalo Narayan Chakraborty for accepting our invitation and giving us their valuable time despite their busy schedule. As we know that Professor G.P. Das has already delivered his lecture yesterday. So I want to thank both of them. I want to thank Dr. Sushim Dubey. As we know, he is the program officer of ICPR. In spite of his busy schedule, he has accepted our invitation and delivered his wonderful lecture in this webinar. We all know, and if you go to this chat box, all the comments are very informative. Okay, thank you, sir. Again, I want to thank all the faculty members of Bankura University. I also thank to all the participants of this webinar for participating and cooperating us. Their kind cooperation, the program made us successful. I want to also thank my colleagues, Mr. Gautam Das and Sangeeta Basu. Lastly, I want to thank Mr. Sudeep Roy, Technical Assistant of Bankura University. Without his technical support, it is impossible for us to successfully complete this today's webinar. Lastly, I want to inform all the participants this please fill the feedback form within 7th July. Those participants will get the e-certificate who have completed the feedback form. The e-certificate will be given within 7 days in the WhatsApp group or by through their email.